Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for your support so far. I hope you're enjoying my content. Today is another bonus video, and I am going to do the AuthorTube writing style tag. So, on to the questions. Question number 1. What writing rule do you break knowing you need to correct it in revisions? I think this is a pretty common one, and I think a lot of writers break this rule, and that is show versus tell. And I think the reason why is because when you outline a book and you start the first draft, you're telling yourself the story. And a lot of the times, it's a work in progress, it's an evolving piece of art. So I guess speaking for myself, as I've learned my craft more, I've definitely tried to improve upon my weaknesses and, tell the best story I can going out of the gate. But I also recognize that, any book is going to have multiple drafts, and with each draft, each revision, the book is going to improve. So when you initially tell yourself the story, you do a lot of telling, and then when you go back and edit, you definitely make a point to show. Question 2. What writing rule do you break and don't plan on fixing? To be honest, nothing really comes to mind, and maybe I just can't think of anything, and if I did a little more research, maybe I could, but this is a question for anyone who's a writer that is watching this video. What rules do you break and don't plan on fixing? Let me know in the comments below. Question 3. How detailed do you get? What details do you think are important, e.g. 5 senses? Personally, I love incorporating the 5 senses where they're warranted. I mean, you don't want to overwrite, but you also want to immerse your reader in your world. And I think it's important when you want someone to be invested in your story, your world, and your characters to definitely immerse them into not only the body and the mind, but the emotions of your protagonist. And sometimes if you write a good antagonist, you want that to be interesting as well. So definitely very important for me. Question 4. Do you write flowery, purple prose, or to the point? And I suppose this means, are you poetic, or do you just kind of get to the point of what you're writing? And the answer is, I enjoy both. I mean, there are moments where I feel being flowery is is warranted and it's beautiful when conveying emotions. And then I feel that there's points where people sort of overdo it or could overdo it. So definitely a combination of both. Again, I love to write poetry, so when it's warranted, I can definitely flowery. But at the end of the day, I think that there are moments where it's warranted and there are moments where it doesn't suit the narrative. So I feel when it doesn't suit the narrative, I don't have a problem cutting it. Number 5. Do your MCs, main characters, across multiple work in progresses have similar dialogue styles? And the answer is, I try and give each character their own individual way of talking and thinking and approaching problems and their relationships, because there has to be a sense of individualism in your characters, and if there isn't, I find it hard, at least for me personally, when characters don't have their own voices. I find it difficult to invest in those characters when they're just kind of all the same, because it's boring. So yeah, I mean, as a writer, I try and keep in mind that each character has to have their own style and their own way of talking. Character voice is important. It's definitely an important part of the narrative. Dialogue is one of your most crucial storytelling elements. So if you, after a first draft granted, can go back and try and give each character their own point of view and their own voice to express that point of view, you're probably going to immerse your reader and get them invested a lot more than having cookie cutter dialogue and having them sort of all sound the same. Because again, it's boring, and speaking for myself, it's hard to invest in characters that don't have their own personalities. Question 6. Do you get voice right on the first draft? And I don't think anyone gets, particularly anything right during their first draft, because you're just kind of telling yourself the story. It's an evolving craft/art. And, it's hard to tell where a project or a manuscript is ultimately going to end up on the creative side, because my current fantasy series, The Knights of Avalon, wasn't always called Knights of Avalon, and the MC Jasper Kane wasn't always named Jasper Kane. His 2 sidekicks weren't always those characters. So, it's kind of hard to tell with, especially your first draft, where things are going to land. So, probably not. Anyways, next question. Number 7. Are you better at first or third person, past or present tense? I enjoy reading both, but I think my strong suit is third person and past tense. Although, maybe I'm kind of weird because I do a little bit of a hybrid of past and present tense. I guess you guys will have to check out my book when it comes out. But I've got a lot of compliments on it and people seem to enjoy it, so I suppose that's my style. Question number 8. Do you pre-plan chapters or create chapters as you write? I think the stage of the creative process is different for everyone, and there isn't any right or wrong way to approach it. Whatever works for you, follow your bliss. For me personally, I like to plan my chapters because it helps to keep me on track and controls my word count. Also, I feel like when I have an outline, I can look at certain points that I'm excited to write, and it definitely is fuel to get me to that point in the book, especially, if it's an emotional scene, if it's a cool battle. It's definitely something that hypes me up for that part of the book. But, I also try and leave some room for flexibility. My current work in progress is an adult urban fantasy novel titled Sacrifice of the Blood Moon, and there are definitely things in the first draft, or I guess the planning or the concept of the book that changed throughout the first draft. So, I love to plan, but I also like to be blood flexible. Question number 9. Favorite tropes, ones you use or plan to use across multiple books. Alright, so on the positive side, into every generation. A slayer, kidding, no. So I like the chosen one trope because I think it's pretty malleable as long as you try and be original with what you're doing and give your characters kind of your own unique voice or your own take on their story. I think the chosen one thing, it works. Also, one thing I love to use is reincarnation, and within the Knights of Avalon series and the companion books, there is going to be an element of reincarnation. I love what I've done so far, and I hope you guys will enjoy it too. So those are the ones that I love using. On the negative side, not that I have anything against this, but I hear a lot of people complain about love triangles, and personally, I'm not a Twilight fan, and I get that love triangles go outside of Twilight, but I feel that as much as I realize that in life, things aren't always black and white, and there is a possibility of someone being in love with more than one person for different reasons, I just don't really want to use love triangles because I think they sort of tend to cheapen romances. So that's my 2 cents. However, if you enjoy love triangles, definitely tell me what are your favorite ones. Comment below. What are your favorite love triangles? Did you enjoy Twilight? What are some other love triangles that you enjoyed? And last but not least, question 10. This has been a pretty fun tag. I can't wait to the next one. Do you have similar themes / moods, messages, or symbols across your books? And yeah, definitely I do. I'm inspired by all types of things, whether it's my own personal journey or, outside things. And, I try to incorporate elements within my characters as far as just messages of healing and characters who have to come to terms with their pasts and their mistakes and, kind of accepting who they are, but also realizing that they have the power to change that and to control parts of their destiny. So I think that those are important elements of storytelling. They are inspiring, and I hope that within the Knights of Avalon series that those elements will resonate with my readers. Alrighty, well that finishes up another AuthorTube tag. I had a lot of fun with this one, guys. I hope that you enjoy my answers. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I will also pin a list of those questions so you guys can answer them yourselves. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. If you haven't already subbed to my channel, please do so and hit that notification bell. I post every Monday and every Wednesday. Bye.